time. Let's check the matchups, and Parker, no surprise, as forecast, going to Chris Tarrant.
Well, you'd expect that would happen, and there's another significant one on screen. Medhurst, big goal kicker, and the youngster Maxwell picks him up. But in the middle, you can't get away on this oval. You must get ball out of the middle. You must get a domination from your runners.
Yeah, definitely. Woden back into the side. Looks like he's going to tag Matthew Carr.
So with Clement going to Farmer, Jason Cloak goes to Pavlich. The Dockers will be going to the right. And we're underway at Subiaco with Sandilands back in the Dockers side, crashing into Fraser of Collingwood. Hazelby with the clearance towards Pavlich. Cloak the early spoil. And good body contact, Webster and Holland, as Burns is dragged down by Bell for a bounce.
Interesting matchup, Cloak on Pavlich. You would think that he would have a little bit too much endurance and maybe too much speed for Jason Cloak, so that'll be one to watch out for.
Confirmation of the Dockers bench. Smith and Johnson on screen. Now a crowded half-forward zone for the Dockers as Sandilands just stretched out, got it to Hazelby for Grover. Now for Matthew Carr. Goes long and direct to the hot spot. McFarlane starting forward. Jason Cloak should try and concede it behind. He's in trouble. Ball held in.
Well, interesting to see there. Matthew Pavlich actually didn't lead. He called it in long. He put one hand up and wanted it into space, but the kick wasn't great.
Sandilands wrestling with Fraser. Getting hand to it again, Sandilands. Bell now, was he pushed in the back? Yes.
Well, Peter Bell starting where he left off last week. His last quarter was superb last week. He struggled for the first half, even though his side was doing pretty well. He was just getting enough of the ball, but just when the club looked as if it was going to forfeit the win to Melbourne, he produced a 14 possession odd last quarter and was significant in dragging them across the line for one of the most important victories in this club's short history.
And now Peter Bell with the chance for the ideal start. The skipper strikes first for the Dockers. Peter Bell,
one of the recruits of the last 8 years for the Fremantle Dockers, pinching Peter Bell off the Kangaroos after some successful times there, and he's been a great captain for this club, and great goal to start the Fremantle Dockers off.
Tarkin Lockyer wasn't happy with the call. Not that you ever are.
Never seen one happy. Never seen a bloke give away a free kick and agree with the umpire, Clinton.
Is it there?
Yeah.
An early change for the Magpies with Brody Holland coming off. Michael Thompson.
Clinton, Brody Holland, big clash within the first 5 seconds of the game. He got up. It looks like an ankle. He was very proppy. Runner and out said, boys, I've got to come in and have it looked at.
Sandilands and down for Carr, Hazelby, Black. Now Matthew Carr. Too easy there for the Dockers on the clearance. Pavlich wins one for in the back. Corin Rowe with that whistle, working with Dean Margetts and Darren Morris, the umpires.
He looks a lot more dangerous when he leads like that rather than call the ball in long against Jason Cloak.
Target was Medhurst. Maxwell the spoil. Burns now. Quick hands Lucuria. Man who knows this ground well, the former Eagle Morrison, kicking towards the outer wing. Hadrill back in the Dockers side for the first time since round one, forcing a boundary throw in.
Well, they really have thrown the challenge to Travis Cloak. He's gone to the key centre-half forward position. He looks like he's athletic enough, he's big enough. Clearly, he hasn't got much experience, and he's on a bloke who pushed for All-Australian selection last year, and Robbie Hadrill. Great challenge for him and the future of the Pies.
Sandilands has started very well. Josh Carr tumbles it to Webster. Now Black. Walker. Wide for Bell. Marks in front of Lockyer. Dockers with 14 disposals to Collingwood's 3 early. Bell to Medhurst. Thought about playing on for a moment, and the umpire has come in to set the mark.
Well, we were mentioning just prior to the match that this bloke's such an athlete, but he's such a powerful athlete. And you look at his thighs, he has got legs like Lee Matthews.
You're on the angle now.
For someone who is not huge or tall of stature, he has just got the most powerful legs in footy at the moment.
Back behind you, Mark.
as you look into the Fremantle forward line, where the umpire stands is usually where the space is. So you'll see this kick probably go on some sort of angle towards the umpire, so players can jump, and it goes exactly there.
Cool.
Peter Bell marks. It was clinical, coach. What are you doing with us?
Tell you what, he's going to be on target early tomorrow morning, I think, for the Blues. But that was a pretty good prediction. And Peter Bell and you must have had the same coach in your previous eras.
What do you do, Jared, if you are forward coach and your club kicks 1 goal to half time?
You blame the midfield, as always.
Bell lining up for his second. He's got it.
It's often that kick to the fat side, some coaches like to call it, that coaches don't actually like, because if it gets spoiled, it can go to the other end of the ground very quickly. But it's a very dangerous kick, and it gives the forwards a real chance at marking the footy.
Well, it's a dangerous start and a worrying sign for the Magpies. Peter Bell has got a tagger, and he's already gone forward and kicked 2 goals. So clearly they need to respond.
Peter Bell had 27 touches and kicked a couple of goals against Melbourne last week, as the Dockers booted 22 goals on the way to a 14-point win to square their season away. And the skipper starting with a couple early, as Sandilands again controlling the skies for Hazelby, for Bell. Another comfortable centre clearance, and Webster's got Josh Carr running from 55 to the pocket. Farmer in a wrestle with Clement. There's a whistle for holding, and it's a Collingwood free. The task for the stand-in Magpie skipper James Clement today is Farmer, who last week in that 22 goals kicked 7 of them. Now Tarkin Lockyer, former local product of East Fremantle, kicks into the man on the mark, and I guess if you do stand 211 centimetres, if you put the arms in the air and you jump, you're a good chance to stop the footing. Another look at the contact. Aaron Sandilands giving off the impression that he is keen to secure his spot in this team. Has played just 3 of 6 matches so far. Here he is again, knocking it down for Hazelby. Delivery towards Medhurst, coming out, not quite. Maxwell, quick hands, Lockyer, met solidly by Farmer illegally. Free kick advantage play on. Woden gets it from Burns. Kicks towards the wings, Seagate sees it over for a boundary throw.
If you were in the coach's box, Wayne, and you had Clement, who was such a dangerous player for Collingwood, picking up Jeff Farmer, if you were Chris Conley, would you consider telling Farmer to run away from the footy, to take one of their few experienced players away?
I'm not too sure about that. I don't think it was a free kick before. I think the Wizards in good form. You'd back him for a start and see what happens after that.
Hit-out's running 6-0. Woden, is he getting it out?
No prior opportunity.
Good call from umpire Margetts. The umpire's wide for sound.
You said before, Clinton, that Sandilands has got off to a great start. This is the best start I've ever seen him get off to. He's playing terrific and putting it down the on-baller's throat.
Tried to get that to Cook. Now goes himself.
Jumper, Troy Cook, stop.
Collingwood free kick.
It was against Troy Cook for holding, as you heard the umpire. Troy Cook, of course, one of Fremantle's better players last week.
Burns goes to row. Collingwood up to the 50 for the first time. Tarrant's got space wide. And you'd fancy a metre or two too far out. There's a lot of protection at that city end goal now with the new grandstand. But you'd fancy he might just be a fraction too far out with a gentle breeze against him. We'll find out. They're missing to the near side. Carried the journey comfortably behind Collingwood's opening score.
Travis Cloak leading then. Looks like he's an aggressive young lad. Didn't mind throwing his weight around for the odd block.
Family trait. Ben Davies sitting up. His AFL debut, the 19-year-old out of the rookie draft, up onto the list for Nathan Buckley, who told us on 3W this weekend he's likely to return in about a month's time if all goes according to plan. So they thought, well, we'll trial Davies now while Buckley is on the injured list. Tarrant to Burns, to Morrison, back for Burns, closes to 70, Dockers, though, with plenty of numbers back and an easy one for Seagate, although the sun made it awkward, as did
It's a mark.
Walker closing in fast. It will come back.
Yeah, no
I'll take the
advantage from
mark.
the mark, which is a rule that a lot of supporters don't quite
Tristan,
understand.
what mark
The
here?
distinction between the free kick
Just
and
wait
the
for
mark.
time, Andrew. Just come round 1 metre. Thank you.
Mind you, Jared, if I took a mark and they paid the advantage, I'd be pretty disappointed.
I think we all suffer from that.
Seagate to Black. Now Pavlich.
The change appears to have been made pretty quickly with Clement on the Pavlich.
Though you wonder whether Jason Cloak, for the time being, has the foot speed to go with Farmer. Medhurst with the footy. Going towards half forward. That didn't look friendly. And Luke McFarlane wins the free.
I think one of the issues with that is you want James Clement out on that half-back line if possible so he can become a creative player, as against Jason Cloak, whose foot skills aren't anywhere near the same.
Averages 17 possessions a game, Clement, and uses them well as Medhurst blazes away, and it comes back nicely for a goal. He was a little stroppy when he wasn't paid the mark. Not 15 was the call. Swung onto the right boot and sends it home for the Dockers third.
And that's those legs you were talking about, Jared, those tree trunk legs. I don't think he was really having a shot. He was under a bit of pressure, just let it go and carried the distance quite easily.
He should be a downhill skier. His legs are massive and yet they're powerful. And he can be a weightlifter. We're lucky that he's a footballer because he's got so many skills. He's going to entertain us for a decade.
Not a lot of snow in Perth. 3 goals, plays 1 behind. The Dockers have had the ideal start. Team Marquez is getting into it with a bounce. Dockers free, Magpies encroach
Thanks, Josh.
on the middle.
Square infringement. Give it back to him.
This is Michael Johnson, just his 4th senior game.
Play on.
Also a pre-season draft selection. Feeding off Josh Carr, who's seen plenty of it early. Going towards the boundary line. At the back waiting down. This is Medhurst. And the pass out in front of Bell. Pursuing him Rowe. Still Bell. The skipper. Narrow. Lining up his third.
And that's what I'm talking about Paul Medhurst. I reckon last year you would have seen Paul Medhurst try and kick a freakish goal. This time he's thinking team, and trying to pluck the skipper.
We'll keep an eye on his kick v handball ratio today, as always. Currently for the season, 70 kicks, 4 hand passes.
But I think it's irrelevant now.
Well, those kicks are passing it off.
Yep. I think his mindset has changed, and Fremantle will be the winners, and so will he.
They're playing like winners at the moment. The Dockers by 3 goals as Rowe. Well, not a good option. Bell lost it in the sun. Carousella for O'Brien. It was a throw. Early signs not good for the Magpies.
No, but Peter Bell is lining up for the 3 votes pretty early in the piece, Wayne. You saw him before the match tuning in.
He had the stereo blaring, didn't he? And he looked very fired up. He's got off to a great start.
What would Belly be listening to on the iPod?
Bit of Cat Stevens, I think it was, Jared, wasn't it?
I'm sure it was Cat Stevens.
Carousel laying the handball to O'Brien. Now Fraser. To try and get the Magpies firing up. Oh, Thornton has shown some good signs this year. Got it for Walker, got it for Hazelby. Opening 13 minutes, all Fremantle. Hazelby long to half forward. McFarlane got rid of Clement. Wakeland the crumbs for Jason Cloak. Now Reece Shaw. And the Magpies can look to run as Didak pushes to the outer wing. Shaw goes to him. Didak's got heaps of space. Marks and can go. Tarrant, the only man inside 50. Parker's his opponent. Tarrant, good lead. Didak, good pass.
Well, it's the value of having a player like Reece Shaw who can explode off that full back line and deliver accurately. Didak had been on the ground for some 1 minute. He ran to the opposite side, picked up the ball.
That's the line, Chris.
You've got to have players who can deliver the ball, Wayne. It makes forward play just that much more easy.
It does. It was a terrific lead by Tarrant, but nothing Shane Parker could do. He had the whole 50-metre line. There was no pressure on the kicker. Made 2 or 3 leads and got an easy lead, easy mark.
And for Tarrant, another miss. 15 goals, 11. His return this season. Kicked 5 in the win against Carlton, 4 against the Kangaroos. with just 6 in the other 4 matches. Thornton charging out of defence. To the defensive side of the wing, Josh Carr had it spoiled by Lacuria. Just on the ground, running straight into the action. Mundy sets up Bell, sets up Pavlich. Wonderful transfer from the Dockers. Pavlich could kick this.
Peter Bell is having a field day.
Already, Bell and Hazelby with 14 possessions.
You've got Collingwood players pointing, and that's a dangerous sign when midfielders are pointing for someone to pick up their man. And you can lose them at kick-ins, and that's a fair point. But it's happening a fair bit out there.
23 years of age, Matthew Pavlich in his 6th AFL season, and still so much to look out for the 2-time All-Australian.
He's going to be behind.
Jared, you're a selector. He'd have to be looking at 3-time All-Australian after his start to this year.
Well, we know he's had one bad game, but I think the rest have been pretty well first class, and it's a good start.
He's got the Dockers' 4th goal. Getting ugly early for the Magpies here on Fox Footy Sunday.
Ugly's a fair word. It's just been hasn't been a hell of a lot of resistance to the flow of the footy from fullback to full forward a couple of times now. Has resulted in pretty easy shots at goal. I guess nothing's easy from outside the 50. That's a quality kick from a quality player, and as you said, Wayne, a man who has had in 7 rounds or 6 and a bit rounds, he's had one poor one with the rest of the Fremantle, but the rest have been top notch.
4-1 plays 2 behinds. The Dockers beating Collingwood just 4 times in club history from 13 previous meetings. They split them last year. Collingwood in an upset winning here in round 19. The Dockers winning in Melbourne in round 4. All-time Collingwood 4 from 12 here at Subiaco. As the Magpies get their first centre clearance, Rowe runs onto it. The handball wide of Woden, but he manages to get it anyway. Swings onto the right. Tarrant leading to the pocket, skittled. Can Didak go off the ground? A little bit of soccer touch. Oh, it was close.
Deft touch though, wasn't it? Even to keep it alive and give himself a chance. And good work in the middle of the ground with players electing just to push the ball on and the umpire allowing them enough time to shovel it out.
Des Headland, who started on the bench for the Dockers. And a good kick there, finding Josh Carr.
Just there, Brody. Just there, let him go now, please. Let go, let go. Mark's there. Thanks, mate.
2 hard-at-it characters there, Carr and Holland.
Play on.
Goes for Bell, given some latitude there. Rowe the man alongside for the time being. Bell coming up for his 8th kick.
Ben Davies in his first game on Paul Hazelby in the middle, just running pretty solidly in his shadow.
Bell goes wide. Seagate found space. Now Black. Target Medhurst. Can't take it.
Clement's moved back onto Jeff Farmer, so they're throwing that round a little bit. Depending on where Pavlich plays. If Pavlich goes deep, then Jason Cloke picks him up. If he goes out to centre half forward, then it's James Clement. So clearly they want Clement out across that half forward line.
Johnson winning it down. Collingwood defence under pressure again. Holland slips it out the back door, but Black is waiting. Headland, quick reaction. Walker, though, good tackle and rewarded.
Hadrell's come from the ground, and Thornton, who's had a pretty good year as an inexperienced player for Fremantle, has pushed out to pick up Travis Cloke.
Walker wide to the outer wing. Tarrant on a very long lead, but Johnson floating in from the side. Nice mark. And goes quickly because he sees that Farmer is on. Saw Seagate coming. Seagate lining up for the 4th goal of his career. Andrew Seagate with the finish. The setup was nice. The Dockers with the opening 5.
Ben Johnson started that play by floating across the pack and taking a very strong mark in front of Chris Tarrant, so good signs for him.
And a nice running finish by Andrew Seagate. The margin already out to 28 points. How can Collingwood respond? Yet to reach time on of the opening quarter. We're getting to the other side of ugly, Jared. Walker.
Yeah, we're getting very close to that period. We saw a blowout early yesterday with Carlton copping a whacking from Richmond. But I'm impressed with Michael Johnson as well, Wayne. He's been sensational last week. He was put under the hammer across that half back line and full back line, and he can go in the middle. He's looking good.
Josh Carr doubling back to half back on a collision course with Carousella. Tried to hand it off to Cole, couldn't. Matthew Carr found Seagate. Now Webster. Pavlich has Cloak covered at ground level for the time being. Let's watch the speed. He kept his feet. Cloak went down. Pavlich steadies, lines up, drills another one. Oh boy! We've ticked into time on, and the Dockers lead by 34 points.
We said at the start of the game that Jason Cloak may be a little bit slow for Pavlich, and on that occasion he just knew he had far too much speed, put the handball out in front, picked it up, didn't even think about passing it, just kicked the goal.
He's a brilliant kick on the run, is Matthew Pavlich, and he can play at half forward. I think he's even more dangerous when he's coming out of the goal square. That's the position I reckon you'd have him if you had other options everywhere.
Dockers with 62 possessions to 31, 18 marks to 8, 8 hitouts to 2, 9 clearances to 3, 6 goals to none.
Got to get it out. Into his back now.
And a free kick there for Josh Carr.
To his back when he's on the ground.
Luke McFarlane kicked 4 goals in the opening term last week against Melbourne, really to set them alight. He's had 1 touch, and this bloke,
well, he might get the 4 in the opening term this week.
Is killing them, and I think it's the value of having the 2 there that upsets the defence. This enables them to crowd a particular one player. If you've got a couple there, it really does work.
And without flogging a dead horse, how long is it going to take Mick Malthouse to make a change on this man?
Who would you have in mind?
I would be moving James Clement
Don't go
under
over.
Matthew
Full
Pavlich.
time?
Yes.
Pavlich lining up for his 3rd and the team's 7th.
He mightn't get the drive off James Clement if he goes onto a Pavlich, but you're stopping one of their guns and their main avenues towards goal, and I think that's what you have to do now. We've got to stop the floodgates from opening.
Yeah, right now drive is a secondary issue. It really is all about defence now for Collingwood. Defensive mindsets. The midfield have got to start to just run with their players. Stop this flow.
The last placed Magpies copping a hammering. 40 points, time on, opening term. Josh Carr, Bell, forcing it out. Dockers first to the footy on seemingly every contest. Woden with the steal, that's Yakabuchi. Made his debut last week against the Saints. Carousella, Seagate kept his feet well. Running into each other there. Almost like there's 22 of them out there on the field. Here's Black. Webster. Loose men everywhere. Mundy going long. Towards half forward. A wrestle on. Pavlich. Cloak to spoil. Holland. Jason Cloak gone. Farmer. Now Headland. Will it be advantage? Goal! Wait for it. No. Collingwood free kick.
The Wizard just carried on with the tackle.
Yeah.
Jason Cloak threw him to the ground after the ball was knocked free.
Just kept pulling him down and down. Had the play.
Already it's been Fremantle's best ever first quarter against Collingwood. And they're just 1 point behind their best ever quarter against Collingwood in 10 years.
The scary thing, Clinton, is we've only travelled 23. There could be another 7 minutes of this quarter to go.
We might be really delving into the statistical books this afternoon, because this has been a remarkable start. Travis Cloak for the Magpies.
5 minutes of playing time, as you can see. Quarter will probably travel to 30 in total with the extra time on. Jeff Farmer coming from the ground. Not sure whether that's a disciplinary thing. I doubt it, given his form of last week. But they're going a small for a tall. And Brown is on, as Johnson is on.
I don't think the Magpies are winning a position yet. Morrison's handball stolen by Josh Carr. Now Hazelby, room to run, can keep going. Elects to kick it long, gives the forward a chance, one out. Pavlich against Wakeland now, recovers, swings onto the right. Missing to the near side.
All clear.
It's really hard to see where Collingwood are going to get back into this game. They've either got to shut the game down. What can you do, Jared? I really can't see them winning in any position. As Clinton said, it's going to be a long day at the office for the Magpies.
Clement is kicked to Medhurst.
Well, they've got a couple of talented players in their forward line in Carousella and Didak. I reckon it's all hands on deck. They're in their best half a dozen players. I'd have them on the ball, trying to win it and get forward.
Medhurst going to Pavlich in a contest, but why not? He's plucking everything and passing beautifully as well. Headland acknowledges it as soon as the ball hits his chest. This should be number 8.
What a pass. He's one of the best kicks in the game, is Matthew Pavlich. It travelled less than 10 feet from the ground. It probably covered 45 to 50 metres.
That's it, Reece.
And it was lace out.
It's that angle kick that all forwards like, Jared. That's where the space is.
Number 8 in the opening turn.
I like that kick better, forwards.
Well, they're lining up the Fremantle forwards. You'd like to be playing there today with Matthew Pavlich being on fire, not only kicking goals himself, but setting them up. And you saw Paul Medhurst then get into the back half. I'm not sure whether that was an instruction, but took a mark on half back and passed it to Pavlich at half forward.
Well, I think they've got to have a look at the midfield. O'Brien, Holland, Davies.
Dockers winning the clearances 11-4 in the middle as Shaw and Headland exchange pleasantries. Sandilands has to chase this one. Took it away from Holland. He's enjoying himself, the big man. O'Brien spins away from Smith. Gets it on to the first game of Ben Davies. First kick in league footy. Not one he'll recall fondly. Parker. Now Grover. Docker defence, flawless. Look at that. Johnson. Delivers to half forward. Webster, class. Peter Bell running from 50 to the pocket. Pavlich again, surely not this time.
Well, one of their problems in the middle is that their second string midfield just is too inexperienced and nowhere near in the class of the second string of the Dockers. If you have a look down there, Wayne, and we'll get a photo of it shortly. You've got Lacuria getting his hammy rubbed. You've got Burns getting his hamstring rubbed. And they're two of their very best midfielders.
Reece Shaw away. He loves this. Bit of open field. Runs his full measure. Delivers wide of the leading Cole. Opens the door for Mundy. And now Seagate going to a one-on-one. Headland and Clement. Headland quick on the recovery. Oh, that's brilliant stuff from Des Headland, but he runs it out eventually.
And with those experienced guys on the bench, Jared, you really have to wonder where they're going to get their drive from. They're very inexperienced on the ball at the moment. One would think you would have to bring those guys back on unless they're injured.
That's how the Saints looked at three-quarter time against the Cats at the Telstra Dome this weekend. And they got overrun. Jason Cloak, big wind-up. Not a great deal of contact. Yakabuchi with the clearance for O'Brien. Just electing to paddle it for Holland. Defers to Davies. Goes long to space. Tarrant's working hard to get there from the opposite direction. Mundy slides into it. Gets the hand pass out. Still there to be won. And I think most players happy for a bounce.
From a possession perspective, Clinton, I think it's reflective of the match. Collingwood 46 possessions, Fremantle 8. Their second equal highest possession winner is Chris Tarrant with 3. Scott Burns has been on the bench for 5 minutes, has had 6.
Telling. Yakabuchi out of the pack quickly. Medhurst playing the sweeper roll down back for Walker. Now for Cook. Still plenty of time for the Dockers to kick a ninth. The most they've ever kicked in a quarter in club history is 10. Cook to centre half forward. Webster big leap. Couldn't hang on. Holland away. Loose man is row. Awkward bounce. Knocks it back. Carousella. High ball, but they've got loose men back there, the Dockers. This time it's Hadrell.
They're going to have loose men back because Collingwood are now pushing up players behind the ball, trying to ease the pain. But it means they're not going to be able to score.
Peter Bell with a 10-possession opening term. This one chopped off by Davies for Yakabuchi. Now can O'Brien run onto it? Hadrell wins a free.
And you have to feel for Chris Tarrant. He looks up, he sees a sea of players around him. He's getting very frustrated. He's trying his hardest, but there's absolutely nothing he can do.
You're seeing a purple haze down there, isn't he? As Hadrell releases wide. Medhurst. Kicking to the wing. In front of Grover. KB-like handball to his own advantage, but it rolls out of play.
Not sure whether it's a tactical move from the coach's box or whether Medhurst has just got a licence to go down back when he feels the time's right.
Well, he's just sitting back there at the present time. I think it's maybe just trying to unclutter their forward line. So many Collingwood players down there.
Walker won it down. Walker sharked it. And it's the Docker Walker who found Johnson. Back for the great grandson of a Collingwood great in Coventry. Going long in the gun square. The mark taken. Des Headland should be able to kick the Dockers' ninth and does. What a party. It equals Fremantle's best opening quarter to an AFL match in club history.
And the only danger from here on in for Fremantle is whether they get complacent. If they get complacent, they'll start mucking around with the football. I can't see it happening, Jared, but that's the only danger because Collingwood aren't showing too much fight.
No, I can't imagine he'd be complacent. 2 weeks ago, they were in crisis mode, this club.
That's right.
And they would be absolutely licking their chops here, Fremantle, just trying to run each other into form, trying to just capitalise on the confidence of last week. This is the club that had a major week of introspection, it seems, a couple of weeks ago. And since then, they have been outstanding.
A 53-point advantage. Stunning.
What about the big man, Sandlands? His tapping has been superb to Hazelby.
Docker fans stand and cheer. How about that opening quarter? A standing ovation at Subiaco for what equals the best ever opening term in the history of this football club.
And all the players running to Sandilands. There's been a lot of talk about his form and the fact that he's the tallest man in the league, but not getting his hand to it. He's certainly doing that today.
Target Lockyer and Josh Fraser were the other two on the bench with the Curia and Birds. They've just got to get their best side out there and try and get competitive for Pies.
Stay with us. We'll find out what happens after this.
Nothing seems to work out right. I've lost the will and desire to put up a fight, put on a show, put on my face.
Here at Subiaco, 9-2 plays 3 behinds. Didak matched up against Mundy there. Headland drawing Richard Cole's attention. Second quarter underway. Sandilands controlled the skies there in the opening term in very impressive fashion.
Well, there is some concern for Collingwood because Scott Burns has come back to the bench. So we might get Michael just to check out whether or not there is an injury concern there long term.
Sandilands with another hit out. Yakabuchi the gather for Collingwood to Davies. He drives the Magpies up towards Walker. Didak. Tightest of angles, but he's got a touch of the Dacos magic about him. Just not quite that time for Alan Didak. In the opening term, the Dockers with 97 possessions to Collingwood's 52, 30 marks to 9, 13 hitouts to 4. On it went. It was a statistical nightmare for the Magpies.
And sometimes those statistics don't say a lot, but they went quite direct, so that's quite telling.
And they can go direct again. Matthew Carr for Cook, for Hazelby, for James Walker. Towards the 50, 2-on-2 contest. Headland waiting down. Just gets away from him.
The scary thing is that Luke McFarlane has only had the one possession. And he was the star last week for the first half at least. Jason Cloke's moved on to him now. And Shane Wakeland has gone on to Pavlich.
Good luck.
Well, if there's unlimited supply, it doesn't matter how good a backline you've got, you're going to get poleaxed.
Sandilands got the hand to it. Lucuria goes without it. Headland the pressure. Hails the cab. Bounce time? No.
Jeff Farmer's 40 metres behind. He's on his own. He's in the middle. If Fremantle win this, Farmer will end up with a free kick.
Boundary throw in the end result. You can see Farmer just grazing in the centre square.
I think that's a good point you make, Jared. Look, we're quick to say Jason Cloke not quite quick enough to play on Pavlich, but when the ball's coming down as it is, any backman's going to be in trouble the way Fremantle are playing.
It's all about midfield pressure collectively and how much ball you're winning there collectively.
Well, Woden gave it to Yakabuchi and Tarrant wins the free against Parker.
And that's very much the reverse. If you get the ball in and Chris Tarrant becomes a one-out player, you're going to draw dumb free kicks like that one from Shane Parker.
Didak and Walker, Collingwood's only forwards. Plenty of space for them, therefore, to lead. Didak going wide, electing to keep it in. Collingwood working this well. Didak lays it off. Look, you should kick a goal. The Magpies cannot get there first. He's missed.
Well, that was an unfortunate sign that Targan Lockyer just down on confidence. He actually kicked that on the almost like it was a torpedo or a mongrel trying to go around the corner. He had plenty of time just to straighten and deliver a nice easy drop punt. But it's easy from up here. There'd be a lot of implied pressure down on the ground.
Sandilands can't quite hang on. Did enough to tap it to Bell. Boundary throwing as the Dockers making a change with Grover coming on. Seager takes a break. Let's find out more on Scott Burns. Michael.
Clinton, I just went and asked the Collingwood doctor what was wrong with Scott, and he shook his head and said nothing. And I said, come on, guys, what's going on? And he just shook his head and said nothing. And so I looked at Scott, and he looked at me, and we said nothing. So either there's nothing wrong with him, or they're not telling me. But the communication level not good at the moment. But the doctor actually looked quite bemused when I asked him. So perhaps he's okay. I'll certainly find out at halftime.
Thanks, Michael. He remains Collingwood's leading ball winner, and he spent half the match on the bench.
Well, I guess the second quarter will tell. Either Sergeant Schultz is working on their medical team, or he's just not on the ground.
Grover for Webster, just waxing it here. Cook under some pressure now. Good work, Rowe. And in the end, the Dockers will clear. Mundy for Josh Carr. Didak got him from the blind side. Parker backed himself. I'm seeing the defenders take them on. Cook going long to half forward. Medhurst got rid of Maxwell. Finds a little opening to steady, centre it for Headland. Great stuff, Paul Medhurst. And now Headland can be the recipient of another good setup and kick his third goal.
Well, the transformation is almost complete for Paul Medhurst. He gets the ball now, and he's just like a bloke who crosses it in a game of soccer. He's always looking for that person in the middle of the ground, and you just love to have him in that side under these conditions.
Game number 99 for Des Headland, proving to be a good one. He kicks his third. The Dockers get the first 10.
Des has come under some sort of criticism for leaving the Brisbane Lions and coming to the Dockers. Some have said his form hasn't been great since crossing over, but he's looking at playing finals football this year for the Dockers.
Yeah, he is, and his form last week was as good as I've seen him play for this club. But once again, you saw the power coming from Medhurst to get rid of his opponent. Just a shrug of the thighs.
Headland with 3, Pavlich with 3, Bell with 2, Medhurst with 1, Seagert with 1, Collingwood with none.
Got something about thighs, Jared.
Well, I tell you what, it's lucky there's not snow in Perth, because Medhurst would be an Olympian. He'd be a downhill skier, he'd be a giant slalom man of the Steve Lee quality.
Tarkin Lockyer tracking it to half back for Collingwood. Now Cole going wide. Target is Travis Cloke. Brother Jason playing, other brother Cameron not. Travis doing well there against Hadrill. Yakabuchi at least finding some of the footy. Going to Lucuria, doubling back. Walker was hard at it. Josh Carr knocked away. Rowe from 45. Goes goes for home. The Magpies have got there first. It took 38 minutes of playing time in which the Dockers kicked 10, but Julian Rogue kicks Collingwood's first.
And even more trouble for the Magpies. Josh Fraser looks very proppy in the middle of the ground, Jared.
Yes, he was in the hands of the trainers for some time. He's got a bit of a limp up. Not sure what the problem is at the present time, but not his best handball. The premiership player, Josh Carr, just a flick out. You'll get a possession for that, but you won't get a rap from the coach for that one. He remains one of their best players today, though.
Julian Rowe has missed just one match this year for the Magpies in his second year of senior footy. Played 8 games, 8 of the last 9 last year. Still just 19 years of age. Well, it will provide some lift for the Magpies supporters here at Subiaco, but there's still an awful long way to come back. Let's go back down to Michael Thompson.
Josh Fraser does not look good at all, lads. His right knee favouring. He's just tried to do some flexes with it, and he looks very ginger at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised to see him come off the ground very soon.
Sandilands working in there as he palms it down for Hazelby. Oh, and Medhurst has just streaked into space. Couldn't hang on to the foot. He had done the hard work. And the Magpies coming to force a bounce.
No, he never dragged it in. He fell on top of it, no prior. No.
How were his legs looking then, Jared?
Well, it didn't matter about his legs, but what the thighs tell you is he's just a grounded player. He's got balance. He doesn't. He's going to be hard to knock off the footy. He's got a low centre of gravity, and he's going to be a player.
Here he goes.
Look at the PR.
Oh, and the centering ball to the hot spot. And leaping McFarlane! Well, that's at least 3 matches this year that Luke has gone skyward.
And Michael Thompson spot on. Josh Fraser coming from the ground, replaced by Brodie Holland. Don't get much worse for Magpies right now.
He's in a band called Calling, Searching, Waiting, where he sings there. He was leaping, marking, and now going. McFarlane's got his first.
He's definitely a talented player that we know now can play forward, and that's what we come to the footy to see, high marks like that.
And we saw one there. It was a beauty. He didn't put the hands on the Magpie's shoulders. He just jumped. And it was a great centering kick by Paul Medhurst.
We were bemoaning the lack of the high mark in the early few rounds. It's come back in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Always helps when you've got tall forwards playing out of the goal square and not on the wing.
The forwards delivering for the Dockers. It's all pain for the Magpies. And Josh Fraser,
Straight the footy, guys.
playing just his 2nd game for the year, had knee surgery in the pre-season, came back against the Saints last week, and that has been part of Collingwood's problems this year with Richards and Buckland, Rocket, Fraser, the delayed start, Dynak for a while. A scramble here from the centre bounce. Morrison getting it for Cole and now Shaw. As Woden short, but carries it himself and has to keep going. 4 bounces. Reece Shaw now drops it off short. Tarrant's pickup was good. Yakabuchi for Lockyer. Didn't want to kick it initially. On the left, goes for home and kicks it.
Well done, Reece Shaw, running off half-back. He set that goal up, and hasn't he been a revelation this year? He's really stood up for the Magpies, and he's one guy that can hold his head up high so far in today's game, giving the Magpies plenty of run off half-back on that occasion.
Yes, he's been one of their better players this season. Just got a question, is there something going on with Scott Burns? Not sure who he started on in the opening seconds, whether it's a disciplinary thing by Mick Malthouse with one of his charges getting away from him, but gee, long time on the bench.
Margin at 51 points. And from the clearance, Davies can't go anywhere. Matthew Carr likewise. Now Walker for Yakabuchi. Collingwood's leading ball winner, the 2nd gamer. This is Lacuria going wide and effective enough for Rowe.
3 metres, thank you, Matt. Dave, thank you.
Well, it's been a good effort by Yakabuchi. 8 possessions. He's getting some footy early in his career.
Rover for the Dockers to mop up. Hadrell, look at Thornton run, streaking out of the defensive half. Webster against Maxwell, boundary throwing.
Well, there's Josh Fraser. Just have a look at his position there behind the umpire at the last centre bounce he took in. If that, in fact, is a bounce that comes back a little bit, he's got nowhere to go. He's going to get blocked by the umpire and run into the umpire. It's a strange starting position.
There's the bell, indicating that the skipper's got it. Pavlich in a real wrestle with Wakeland. Farmer drives it in front of Josh Carr. Closing fast Morrison. Play on the call, boundary throwing.
And it just gets worse for Collingwood. Travis Cloak limping heavily at centre half forward as the trainers rush to him now, and he looks in a bit of trouble.
Michael Thompson, did you catch that?
I just saw it just straight after. Didn't see exactly what he did, but clearly he is in trouble. He'll come off the ground as well, I would think, Clinton. Major problems for Collingwood down here. Probably an ankle, the way it looks from here.
Okay, keep us posted as Peter Bell emerges, swings onto the left. The skipper hits the post. 11-3 plays 2-5. Cloak going to try and run it out. At great personal expense, it would appear, as Clement hits Maxwell.
Well, the good news is it does appear as if Josh Fraser is okay, and he looks as if he's getting up, having a bit of a jog, ready to go.
Big question is Burns, Jared. If he's fit, why they would have him on the bench is beyond me. And also O'Brien sitting there as well. A lot of experience just sitting on the bench at the moment.
Well, Nick Moldhouse lined up with his guns in there, and I suspect it was just really disappointment that the likes of Bell and Hazelby and Cook got away to too many easy possessions early, and he's paying the price.
Yeah, that's what it was. They just marched it out, didn't they? 3 goals in the opening 10 minutes. Smith going wide here. Josh Carr with the footy. Shorts it to the hard lead of Pavlich. Gee, lapse in concentration perhaps, although the sun is awkward when leading out from the city end. Farmer towards Johnson. Pavlich calling for it, missed him, boundary throwing. Carr with 15 touches, Bell 14, Hazelby 13, Pavlich 10. All have more than Yakabuchi, who's Collingwood's chief ball winner with 8. O'Brien on the bench with Scott Burns. Still another throw in. Back to you, Michael.
I really don't think there's anything wrong with Scott Burns. He got up a short time ago, had a short jog, did a couple of short sprints, had some handballs, a couple of short kicks, and then sat down again.
Yakabuchi shovels the handball to Clement. Goes for the torp. High one to the wing, waiting under it, Mundy. That's a nice mark. Awkward high ball. The second gamer out of Seymour in Victoria. A little bit of anxious moment for the crowd as Matthew Carr delivers to half forward and finds his brother.
And he's been just a quiet force today, Matthew Carr. He'd be in the top 3 players for Fremantle this year. Last week he ran off the square and picked up Jeff White and ran with him in a pretty good role to continue a great season.
Just held that kick, Josh Carr, almost to perfection for Johnson, but helped over for a throw in. The Carr brothers averaging 43 possessions a game this season for Chris Connolly.
I thought the kick was good enough for Johnson, but he just didn't continue to attack the ball, Wayne.
Yeah, not the ideal spot to lead either. To the pocket, should have come back to that open side like they did in the first quarter, would have been the better lead. Walker
first hand to it for the Magpies. Morrison's hurried kick is going to be marked by Josh Carr. Fraction too far out. Pavlich to run onto it. Wakeland pursuing him. Pavlich with quick hands. Mundy, loose man, wide. Matthew Carr steadies. 48 metres out. Close.
Bang.
Good enough. Dockers have their 12th.
Well, Wayne, we have all been there as players in matches like this, and in the end you've just got to say this isn't up to scratch by Collingwood. You can't be getting beaten by this much and everybody be fair dinkum. And there's a few players, a few senior players for Collingwood, I reckon, who are They're going to have their immediate futures questioned after this one.
Watch your feet in the circle.
58 points is the Dockers lead, and we're only halfway through the second quarter. The bounce making Johnson wait. He got first hand to it. Gee, Bell took the tackler with him, still got it to Black. James Walker, he's quick. Target Pavlich missed him. Wakeland juggles the mark. Hurries it out wide for Lockyer. Now, devoid of options downfield. Tarrant, the only man leading, so has to go short. Davies with the mark. And he's just going towards centre half forward. Dockers with numbers. Seagate caught by Tarrant, slips away. Grover for Black. There's Walker. Just running it out. He goes short. Hazelby. 154 possessions to 89 the Dockers way. Josh Carr. This will be number 18 in the first half. Going to Black. Going to half forward. Good ball again. Des Headland on the end of another one. Jeff Farmer, the wizard away.
Clyde.
Oh, they're unselfish now, aren't they? And McFarlane's going to line up his second.
This side's been reborn. I'm not sure whether the senior players got together and really addressed the way that they were playing and teaming together, but it just looks as if their every action is based on team first. Whereas I think some of the games earlier in the year, there was more of a an attitude where, in the forward line in particular, the player put himself first. It's a much better Fremantle team right now.
Farman hooks that kick for a behind.
This is where Mick Malthouse will find out a lot about not only individuals but his team, and I'm sure he's got a couple of experienced guys on the bench just to find out what these guys are really made of, and we will find out a lot whether this side has got any fight in them if they can at least hold Fremantle to where they are at the moment, because this is going to be an absolute whitewash if they don't.
Morrison shorts it. Davies
already.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but it's the same scenario as we saw yesterday at the MCG with Carlton, and at least Carlton lifted. They showed an enormous amount of desperation. That's out on the floor. It's not going to be paid. The Tark and Lockyer a little bit lucky there, but fellows like Lockyer and Caracella, they've just got to find some football. They've got to, I guess, lead with an increased level of desperation, because at the moment too many look like it's an accepted result already.
Magpies yet to take a contested mark today as well. Free kick Fremantle will be advantage play on. No, going to come back. They stop. Josh Carr will take it. This will be possession number 19. That's more than about 8 to 10 Magpies combined. Walker going for McFarlane. Cloak read that well.
Well played. Got to find a spark from somewhere, Collingwood, and that's the great challenge. And it's an opportunity for a number of players. They can build a name for themselves within their club as the bloke who led a bit of a revival here today, because this is going to be a smashing. A few people will survive.
Parker got good shepherd from Mundy. Matthew Carr for Grover, backing himself to get away from Didak, going to James Walker, who's seeing plenty of it this quarter. He's away on the wing. Loose men streaming forward, goes to Black. He'll use Josh Carr. He'll go wide. Pavlich.
Well, it's very easy to do things when things are going well. It's not so easy when things aren't going so well. So you definitely find out a lot about individuals and also the team. And that's what we'll find out in the coming couple of quarters.
Well, the way Matthew Pavlich is hitting the ball, you'd reckon he's going to kick this. It's not an easy shot from here, but he has just been punching them truly, punching them pretty cleanly, and that is another one.
He's got 4 goals. And the Dockers march to a 65-point lead on Fox Footy Sunday. We'll be seeing the Dockers again next Sunday at the Dome against the Bombers. Another look at the setup. The applause in the background as Hazelby, Pavlich and Medhurst are all rotated.
you'd have to say after this game, Matthew Pavlich will go into Brownlow medal favouritism.
He's going to be right up there. Get on early.
Well, it's been declared, according to Wayne Carey, that man is the new Brownlow medal favourite. Bookmakers everywhere adjusting odds as we speak. Wayne has been really wrong this year in his new career in the media.
Thanks, Clinton.
Lockyer.
Surely the time has come. We've got to get Scott Burns back on. If a point was being made, it's been well and truly done.
Caracella, O'Brien, now Locuria. From the wing, Burns getting up, Jared. Long ball, one-on-one, Fraser bounces over his head. That ball hasn't been touched yet. Thornton, well, he's thinking about it. Happy to concede.
Well, he was standing up on the boundary line, Scotty Burns, I think pleading with the coach to get him back out on there. And let's hope Scott Burns can find some footy early, or find a bloke and drive him into the ground, or just do something that gets him involved in the match.
Seagate. Burns replacing Yakabuchi. Des Headland marking strongly today with 5 grabs. Now Webster. Driving up to full forward. No free kick to Caracella. Cloak. Dockers are everywhere. Seagate going forward. McFarlane marks at 45.
Purple machine just rolls on.
And now McFarlane has had a sighter from here. Can now think about his second. Already this is Fremantle's best first half of football against anyone in club history. They joined the AFL in 1995. McFarlane is kicking their 14th goal.
And whilst I'm sure they'll be thrilled with this victory, they'll put it in perspective pretty easily, pretty quickly, I think, Fremantle, because unless some set of extraordinary circumstances appear, they're going to win it this pretty comfortably, as we can all see. But next week they take on Essendon at Telstra Dome. And Essendon were pretty competitive last night against the Swans, so if they can knock off the Bombers at the Dome, then their season is well and truly back on track.
Again, big number goal kicking wise for the Dockers. 4 to Pavlich, 3 to Headland, 2 each to McFarlane and Bell.
Okay, we're locked down now.
Collingwood's goals to Rowe and Lockyer. It has been one sorry afternoon for the Magpies already. Sandilands again getting first hand to it. Davies in the front 4 for the Magpies. For O'Brien, inside the 50, Fraser can't control it. Mundy for Grover. For Black. Look at the runabout Fremantle. Thornton wants it. Runs into trouble. Smith paddles it wide. Davies the first gamer. Good balance. Just chip kick to centre half forward. Dockers with numbers. The bounce eludes them. Didak going for Rowe. Closes to 55. Gives it a ride and it's got the carry. Rowe's kicked his second goal. Just with the carry, Julian Rowe, the 19-year-old on the run, and has shown some good touches this season and sized his options up and then got some good shepherding down by Paul Wacuria.
He did, and look, it was good to see a kid Davies and a kid Rowe doing well in that passage of play.
.353 remaining before half-time.
Wayne, you were regarded as one of the great captains of the game. What would you be talking to? How would you be approaching this at half-time as a skipper?
Look, I think you've believe it or not, you've got to try to remain positive and really, look, it's all about pressure, Jared. You have to make sure everyone's focused on that particular task, and And that's a starting point. Once you start there, then things may start turning. And to be honest, I think Collingwood are actually just starting to put a little bit more pressure on. Although the Dockers have taken a few players off, I think they're just starting to turn the corner.
Thornton with the good chase on Fraser to affect the boundary throwing.
It's one of the hardest things to do when you're not playing so well or your team's not playing well, is keep the talk up, because you become insular. You worry about your own form, and that affects the team.
O'Brien on the run. The Magpies with 2 in a row.
Well, they need a few energisers. They need a few sparks from somewhere, and it's that sort of stuff. Fremantle have dropped their guard pretty. That's fair, and that's what's going to happen in a half that's so one-sided. But when they do drop their guard, you've got to somehow take advantage of it. And if your brain is dead and you've counted yourself out of the contest, you don't seize the opportunity. And they kick another goal, another 2 goals. They go in with a little bit of momentum.
For the first time, the Magpies stringing back-to-back goals together. The 70-point deficit is 58. Walker and Sandilands. Walker went early. Davies, he's seen a bit of it as well in the second term. Cook in a wrestle with Burns, takes him on. Got it to Seagate for Josh Carr. Lockyer closing. Hazelby back on the ground, delivering to half forward. Target Pavlich. Leads Wakeland underneath it. Doubles back near the boundary line, and Morrison sees it over for a throw-in. All of the numbers going Fremantle's way this afternoon as they look to improve their win-loss record on the season to 4-3. And it's shaping up as being another high-scoring afternoon for them. Walker with the clearance, but Mundy is in front of Rowe.
Been impressive, Mundy. Seen him a couple of times now in his initiation to AFL footy. Looks like he's a player that he's going to have a big future. Good size, can go play, probably finish up playing in a key position somewhere. Big enough to be a tall midfielder as well.
O'Brien hemmed it in the back pocket for Morrison. Has to be quick. Stolen by Pavlich. Steps it to Headland. Desi's going to get another one. That makes 4. And he owes his teammates a beer. He has been set up well today, Des Headland.
They have an abundance of players around that 6'2", 6'3" mark, Fremantle, that can run, jump, play key position. Like you said, Jared, can also play on ball.
Well, Matthew Pavlich can clearly be a ruck rover if they ever got to have the wealth of riches. And maybe with Polak back and Hadrell back fit, McFarlane dominating, he might have a run back in the middle.
Dockers could well be on their way to their highest ever AFL score today. Already, they're only 3 goals adrift of their best ever score against Collingwood. Wide bounce there. Davies sharks it. Kick to centre half forward. Lockyer in a scrap with Seagate. James Walker got it for Josh Carr to Hazelby. And Clement's happy to see it over for a boundary throw. Lull for the 36,000 strong Purple Army at Subiaco. He might be shell-shocked as well. Could not have expected this coming to the match as Lucuria kicks to a one-on-one. Rowe and Mundy. Mundy hands down that time. Carr delivering to centre half forward. Bit of creative play from Jason Cloak, but it might end up the Dockers' way as Webster feeds James Walker. Now for Headland. Back to the running Walker. Goes short. Pavlich was at 15, yes. Pavlich has kicked 4 and can think about a 5th.
They just look so clean and crisp with their handball. They're not missing targets. Their short chips are hitting their targets. And it was Chris Connolly a couple of weeks ago saying you can't win football games when you can't hit the body. And They're not missing the body today.
No, they're under very little pressure though, so I know he'll put this result into perspective, as we said earlier. But they are going forward at every opportunity. This bloke, you get almost backing to kick it, this time across the face.
Off hands, one behind.
You go back only 2 weeks ago and we saw them play against Richmond. It was as if every second possession went backwards, Clinton, and yet today every possession almost, with the odd exception, is forward.
You would have thought the goals were on the side of the ground. They were playing in the mini league a couple of weeks ago, and yet today they are so direct, so clean and crisp.
They've now kicked 37 goals in the last 6 quarters of football. Impressive.
Well done, Davies. He's working hard. He's really having a crack.
Lucuria now. Can Collingwood get a late one? They might. Reece Shaw has time to steady. Crushed by Grover. Oh, he's already worn a heavy blow from Mark Johnson this year as Reece Shaw. And he's seeing stars right now, right on the stroke of half-time. The Dockers' late forward thrusters denied. Good to see his teammates doing. Half-time, Dockers lead by 65 points.
And he's up, Reece Shaw, and really that's the type of play that the Collingwood Footy Club has to see. And the other players should take a leaf out of his book and really come out in this second half and show some fight. And you see them all going to Reece at the moment. Great to see. Hopefully they can show a lot of fight in the second half.
Well, that's what we're hoping for. We want a contest of sorts. We want Collingwood to come back and show a little bit. There'll be a lot of their supporters at home going to assess various individuals over the next hour or so of football. So plenty to look forward to for Collingwood fans. You'll find out who's going to be in the future after this.
15-5. Forlorn look on the face of Shane Woden as Tomo told us, back and hip concerns. Dockers to the right, Collingwood to the left. Start of the second half. The Dockers in the first half, 44 more kicks, 35 more handballs, 15 more hit-outs, 32 more marks, 15 more entries inside 50. And most significantly, 11 more goals. Reece Shaw back after that heavy knock from Grover. Lucuria. Lockyer. Some willingness perhaps early as Cole goes forward. Davies has had a good first game. Lucuria goes inside the 50. Charging out was Burns. Parker did well to deflect it away and now goes for Hazelby. Slips through his hands. Didak under pressure from Thornton. Davies charging through, brought down. Hazelby wraps him up for a bounce.
And already you can see a real intensity in Collingwood at the start of this quarter, which is a good sign.
Well, I think that's all Collingwood people would like, and I think everybody, even the Docker supporters, would like to see them putting up a better show so they can judge their own players more accurately. And I want you to have a look, if you can, at Aaron Sandlands over the next hour. He's a big beanpole, we know. I reckon he's actually struggling more than most to come to grips with this restricted circle. I don't think it suits the beanpole type like him. He's such a huge man. I don't think he can get a leap of any sorts, but he's got to, I think, work a bit harder between points.
Working hard there to get to the fall of the ball was Headland. He marks it, goes to Hadron. Parker, Pavlich rather, at full stretch. Also marked, goes to Farmer. And the Wiz has got it. He is yet to join the goal-kicking party. Has kicked 6 in his last 4 games total against Collingwood. And yet to get one today, as you see Pavlich at full stretch. Nice hands.
Great hands. That's one of the toughest marks in footy to take, down there below, around your shins. And you're running flat out. Very few players can run flat out in that bend over position.
Accuracy the question for Farmer. The answer, close. Another poster for the Dockers. 11 straight kicks, the difference. It's Collingwood's third in command, but skipper today, James Clement, in the absence of Buckley and Rocker. Going long. Headland out-jostles Davies and takes his 9th mark.
Just worried about the body there, Davies, rather than the football.
Josh Carr sends it towards Webster. He juggles the mark and can now line up for his 4th career goal.
Well, they didn't work it all that well there, Collingwood. They had a couple of players. Jason Cloak was in behind that initial kick out, and yet it just rebounded so quickly that Webster just pops up, almost uncontested.
So got a bit
Nice
of
little
forward, John, Richard.
use of the body, and gets himself another pretty good shot at goal.
Just his 13th senior game. The 22-year-old has been on the Docker list a while, but knee injuries the last couple of years has hampered him, but he's injury-free now and kicking his first goal. And the Dockers get the first of the second half and extend the lead beyond 70 points.
Moves a little bit like Des Headland.
He does. He looks very much like Des Headland.
The fact that he wears number 1 and Des wears the 11, it's hard to pick sometimes, but he moves very similar.
And his reputation is pretty big over here, not so much in what he has done, but what they think he is capable of doing. Without the reconstructions to his knee, I think he'd be further advanced than he is. Start that over.
Okay, Tristan, Aaron up.
Dockers lead 12 goals. Sandilands right at the edge of the circle. Puts his right foot just inside the line. Well, that bounce not an accurate indication he'll win a free kick.
Been watching him, Jared, and he just got a free kick.
Yeah, keep a close eye on him. And whilst you're at it, Tristan Walker, he looked as if he was so concerned about jumping into the big bloke, he really just lost his way there.
Nice insightful analysis way.
Yes, he is a big man, and really for a man of his size, a lot of people have said he has to do more. I think today he got off to a very good start and really set the Fremantle Dockers up in that first quarter with his fantastic taps to the on-ballers.
Great tackling, rewarded. No advantage. Will come back for a shot at goal for Des Headland. A chance for his 5th.
Okay, access there. That's it.
And the umpire pretty happy with that decision, giving himself a tap on the backside.
Morris there could.
Gone for the
Yeah,
number 1.
he should be in the centre corridor
that's
now,
fine.
getting some sun.
Okay, just right in
Headland
front,
with
Des.
the tackle
that's
on
okay.
Davies.
And the mark's just there, okay? Yep, just where that divot is.
There's Headland. As I mentioned earlier, game number 99, his 100th at the Dome next Sunday against the Bombers. He hooks that kick for a behind downstairs to Michael Thompson.
Clinton, you're mentioning Luke Webster and Des Headland looking alike. Luke Webster's parents find it hard to tell the two apart, and of course his father Ron was an outstanding player for East Perth. When he played for the Royals, his nickname was the Enforcer.
Well, if the umpires mix them up, they may end up, one of them may end up on the end of a Brownlow medal sometime.
James Clement to bring it back into play. Squeezing it wide. Touched over for a throw-in. So the Magpies getting nothing out of their opening couple of kick-ins in this second half. 73 points the margin early in the third quarter. We were not expecting this. Sandilands to Matthew Carr. O'Brien the smother. Yakabuchi the gabber. Kick to the outer side. Rowe got pushed away by Seagate. And the Dockers build again with Pavlich. Too far out to score, though Wakeland veered off the mark. He kicks to the goal square. McFarlane in front. Partially spoiled by a teammate. Cole for Morrison, for Clement, for Cole. Caught by Medhurst, wonderful tackle. Clement's caught. Lockyer about to beat. Defers pressure to his teammates. They can't control it. Dockers going again. Black's got a loose man wide. Seagate steadies. 45 out. Kicks another one. That's his second.
And write it down as an assist to Paul Medhurst. He has been the subject of a bit of black humour in Melbourne because of his lack of handballs, but for those people, they just need to, I guess, continue the fascination with the way he plays, but just, I guess, acknowledge that he is playing a hell of a lot better footy, and that fierce tackle, Wayne, was what set that goal up.
Exactly right. Chris Connolly would be very happy with that, and Jeff Farmer also puts on great pressure in that forward half for Fremantle.
The man that before today had kicked 3 goals in his 4-year AFL career, Andrew Seagood's enjoying things. He's got 2.
Well, as we said, Luke McFarlane hasn't had a lot of the footy today, but it's amazing just him being down there. The structure is so different that Farmer and Medhurst, who many thought were the problem, have become very much part of the solution because their role has just changed that ever so slightly.
And they're going to provide a significant percentage jump for the Dockers today as Medhurst takes off. Target Bell missed him, but Black's going to be able to run onto this at half forward and have time to swing onto the left. Thornton, the defender, going forward. He wants to join in the fun. Too far out to score. Goes to the lead of McFarlane and hits him.
Done a fair bit of the Dockers this year, Wayne, and there's no question in my view that they have worked on the way they bring the ball into the forward 50. When they're on that far side and they swing, they almost always come to the other side and look for a player on the paint where the other 50 sign is painted. That time it's Peter Bell. Often it's Peter Bell. Rather than spinning hard and going direct, I reckon they've worked on this sort of triangular formation over summer, and it's just happening too often for it not to be a plan.
We spoke about it at the start of the game. If you work your angles as a forward, that's where the space is, on the other side to where you are. Often where the umpire stands is where the space is.
Luke McFarlane kicks the goal, the Dockers' highest ever score against the Magpies. Achieved already just 9 minutes into the third quarter. The lead out to 85 points. Wonderful kick from McFarlane, who is showing us things up forward this year, and he's excited. Why wouldn't he be?
And Josh Fraser didn't take long to get benched. He's off the ground, and clearly he's got a problem.
I've spoken about the Dockers next week playing the Bombers at the Telstra Dome. Collingwood meeting the rampaging Tigers at the MCG next Sunday.
Michael Broadbridge, an interesting addition to the Fremantle Brains Trust. He was, of course, very much part of the Collingwood Brains Trust in their grand final years. And a very well regarded football brain, as they call them, Wayne. Strategist. And who knows, one day I suspect he's going to get a job as a senior coach.
Had good success with West Australian junior teams before that as well. As Travis Cloak sends Collingwood inside 50. Easy spoil for Mundy. Now Thornton. Nice hand pass for Heath Black. He's got Seagate. He's about to be collared. Oh, just sidesteps O'Brien with ease. Bell sweeps it to Hazelby. Here they go. Bell's away, can keep going. The bell rings below us. He delivers to Farmer. Electrifying to watch. Another Collingwood player. Cole's gone down. Farmer goes for Pavlich. He'll line up the shot at goal. Cole is very proppy as he gets to his feet on the 50.
Well, what turned out to be almost a slow, over-possessed exit out of the back line was with Peter Bell on the end of it. He thought, well, no, time to go direct. He whipped in an extra possession, but then he went bang, bang, and Farmer's long kick into that forward line. That is almost Brisbane style of football that took them to the premierships.
You made a good point before, Jared. When you got Medhurst and Farmer as your key forwards, that's not the way to go. But obviously Pavlich and McFarlane up there, it just these smaller on ballers really had something.
Pavlich has 5. The Dockers have kicked all 4 in this third quarter. So any hopes of Collingwood making this scoreline respectable are just fantasy right now. The lead is a staggering 91 points.
And it just doesn't look as if there's going to be any change. It's all one-way traffic at the moment. Ball is, we'll check out the inside 50 tally for you shortly, but I'm not even sure it's been in there more than a couple of times. Collingwood's end.
The match inside 50s, the Dockers 38, Collingwood 19. It's been 6-2 in the opening 12 minutes of this third quarter. And even then, they only just scraped in there. Johnson now to contest against Walker in the ruck. Maxwell is dragged down. We'll have a bounce. Collingwood with the last half dozen clangers.
Eyes up, eyes up.
Those who've just tuned in.
Now you're holding Tristan's arm. Advantage, Collingwood.
O'Brien is away. Delivering out wide. Seagate getting in front of Chris Tarrant. Marking and playing on.
Building a reputation for himself, Seagate, as a running defender.
This has been quite an afternoon for him already with 17 possessions. This man now with 18 as Bell goes to half forward. Well, Medhurst, their confidence growing. He wants to make the highlights reel. Clement goes wide for Rowe.
2 metres, Josh, thank you.
Well, as much as he's become the consummate team man, you don't want to rob that out of his game, Wayne.
His hero as a kid was Tony Modra. A touch of Mods about that leap as Rowe goes to half forward. Grover knocking it down. Here's Seagate again. Now Parker to centre half back. Matthew Carr not paid the mark. Drops it. Has time to recover. Shanks the kick. Might come off anyway. Black emerges. Oh, with disdain for his opposition. Grover for Matthew Carr. Likewise as he gets by Walker. Goes to full forward. At the back, Jason Cloak goes to ground. Play on the call. Too far out the conceded behind. Dockers are going to get a goal. No! Farmers hook the kick. Oh, that was gift wrapped. Jeffrey yet to join the fun up forward. They've had 8 goal kickers. He is not one of them. Now, what structure, if any, do Collingwood have from this kick-in? They used a huddle, but the zone was employed by the Dockers, which negates the use of the huddle, largely. Thornton will try and spoil. Allmark, play on the call. Josh Carr for Pavlich, too far out. McFarlane's going to go for the ride. Farmer waiting down. Will he snap it himself? You better believe it.
You mentioned Tristan Walker before, Jared. He's the big guy on the ground then, and he wasn't the long option. He decided to go for the short kick. That's not his role. He's got to be the long option from the kick in, and he purely didn't want to work to get there. And he's a guy that really has to take the next step for Collingwood. He's been around for a little while. We've seen glimpses of good form. He's gone forward, taken marks, done jobs down back. It's really time for him to stand up.
Paul Medhurst, always fun to watch. Brings people to the footy, Jared.
He does. He's going to do it for the next decade, hopefully for Fremantle. And a little bit more instruction from Tony Modra. He'll stick those eventually.
Free kick Fremantle, advantage play on. Hazelby to Josh Carr. Well, in fact, no, in the back going Coles one.
It's been interesting watching Fremantle, though. Even now, when they've got the game completely won and wrapped up, that if in doubt, they're still not trying to pinpoint passes going inside the 50. If it's not absolutely there, they're going long to the goal square.
And the phrase pinpoint and passes has not been used in connection with Collingwood yet today. Rowe proving the point. The bounce awkward for Tarrant. Collingwood with numbers here and a chance. Tarrant tried to knock it to Didac. Parker did well, looking for the boundary line. Lockyer keeps it in for the time being, now a throw-in.
And once again, another contest that Collingwood have had extra numbers there and just have failed to win the footy.
Hazelby rested, Cook on, 18 touches. For the man who was runner-up in the best and fairest for Fremantle last year, Paul Hazelby. Another prolific game entered today, averaging 19 possessions a game for the year. Peter Bell. He was averaging 22 coming in. He'll exceed that as he kicks to the wing.
It's got to be a free kick.
Pavlich being mauled. Maxwell emerges for Collingwood. Has room to run to. Lucuria kicking towards the lead of Tarrant. Mopping up Mundy, now Cook. He's got Matthew Carr on and he's got the outer wing to himself.
Write Mundy's name down. He looks a player.
Webster at centre half forward on the end of it. Black leading to space on the end of the next one. It was clinical there, and now Black will line up to give Fremantle a 98-point lead.
Got it, Adam. He's going back 4 metres, Heath.
Heath Black back in a Fremantle jumper.
Josh Carr getting applause running from the ground. He's a major recruit for this club. And today he has delivered in bucket loads.
Heath Black giving it a ride and then some. There's number 20. That was an impressive kick.
Josh Carr come off, Dylan Smith come on, a young guy that actually got drafted to the Kangaroos originally. He was a low draft pick. There were big raps on him at the Kangaroos. Didn't work out. Drafted back to Fremantle, and good to see him getting a game in this side.
Well, there's a lot of people out there think that Dylan Smith is has got a lot of talent and is going to make a name for himself in AFL despite the early setback.
Heath Black, the Dockers' 9th goal kicker. Short of time on in the third quarter, the Dockers lead is 98. Walker first hand to it. Cook, well, he's taken them on here. Now he gets the handball out. Yakabuchi high to centre half forward. Grover eyes for the football, couldn't hang on. Good recovery. Segan under some pressure. Now the former number 6 draft pick, Dylan Smith. Shaw desperate, well done. Forced the contest. Travis Cloak. Boot the ball quickly towards half forward. Carosella runs onto it. Tarrant leading to the pocket. Lockyer as well. Got it.
Just looks down on confidence at the moment, Tarkin Lockyer. He's a player of great talent, as we know, and he's had some problems with injuries over his career. I think everybody admires the way he's gone about his recovery and back to footy, but things didn't work out well for him at the start of the match. Just needs to finish the game off with a few clean possessions to give him something to take into training this week to build up for a better performance next week.
As Lucuria comes off and young Davies comes on.
Lockyer, straight kick. He's got his second. The Magpies have got their 5th. Ever been in this situation before, Wayne? 92 points adrift in the third quarter.
I think anyone that's played football has been in this situation. Early years at the Kangaroos, we copped some almighty floggings off the mighty Hawks in the late 80s, early 90s. So I know what it's all about. It's not good.
Seven minutes remaining, third quarter. Matthew Carr having a break. Already with 15 possessions to his name. Johnson and Walker. Johnson favoured by the bounce, found Collingwood's Lockyer. Now Shaw. Still running on a warm Mother's Day in Perth, going for O'Brien. The bounce was favourable. Tarrant the lead to the pocket. O'Brien chipping shorter than that to Burns. Yakabuchi takes it away from his more experienced teammate, and why not? He sets up Lockyer and he hooks the kick.
Well, it's a plus, Yakabuchi. He looks like he's got some pace. He looks like he knows what to do when he's got the football. And Tarkin Lockyer, a couple of extra possessions. One in the middle there, he ran off the square and got involved. That time he went around the corner again and he missed. But you know, you've got to build for next week now. You can't wait until you get on the plane and drown your sorrows. But you can. There's something to be gained out of this next 40 minutes of footy.
Mundy with the football on half-back for the Dockers. Now Grover.
The same applies to Fremantle. I mean, this is a soft, easy victory for them. And if they change their habits rather than just sticking to the plans, well, they may just find it comes back to bite them next week.
Goal for Maxwell. Gets away in the nick of time. The kick is wide and out of bounds.
And that's that pressure that Jeff Farmer has been putting on over the last few weeks that Chris Connolly's been very happy with.
Now Headland kicking it to the hot spot. Over the head of McFarlane. Nice mark, Maxwell. Elected to play on. Rose about to be run down.
That's the free kick. And that's the pressure that Chris Connolly has maintained, has been keeping Jeff Farmer in the side when half of Perth, or most of Perth and Western Australia wanted him axed. I guess what has happened though is that he's been able to, with the bigger structure, play that small forwards role rather than the small full forwards role. Therefore he's not being solely judged on how many goals he kicks, but how many goals he's a part of.
Kicked 7 last week. Had just the 6 after the opening 5 rounds, which accelerated those discussions about his future. Aged 27, this is 187th senior game Still looking for his first today. Won't get it there. Won't be a score. Kept in. Chance. McFarlane! Oh, you know it's your day when that sort of stuff happens. He's got his ball.
Now we're trying to get positives for the Collingwood Football Club, but one would say, and Mick Malthouse would say, that that's unacceptable for McFarlane to get through there and kick a goal. That either had to go out of bounds or punch through for a behind from that point.
And Jeffrey has just alerted our statistician that's another assist for him.
It's been a 6-goal-to-1 third quarter after it was a 9-goal-to-none opening term and 6-4 in the second.
Let's see how big Tristan goes against very big Aaron.
Good bounce to contest. They both palm it the same way. Burns tied up. Sandilands knocks it on, doing the 1%ers today. Morrison got in the way. Rowe delivers to half forward. Webster the spoil on Carousella, and then a clever bump. There was a 1%er as well. Freed up Mundy. Smith caught. Rowe quick hands. Travis Cloak. Awkward kick. Hadrill lost it. Holland. Collingwood a chance now. Chip to Tarrant. Parker's played him well today. Mind you, Chris hasn't had a lot of chances, and Parker concedes a behind.
Chris has had very few chances.
There's an article on Chris Tarrant during the week saying that he would like to get up into the midfield. I'm sure he would have liked it a bit more today because it hasn't come down too well to him. And
you might as well put him up there now, I guess, for the next, well, for the last quarter. Just go into the ruck or go to centre half back.
Why not? He said he wants to play in a similar vein to James Hurd, be able to drift up onto the ball, get a little bit of it. Sick of having Ruckman dropping back and lose players all around him, which has happened on many occasions today.
Oh, look at that. Set up by Medhurst. Pavlich running back. Johnson was running out.
Yeah, Johnson just needed to just give
Hold
a little bit,
man.
a little bit more support to Matthew Pavlich. He knew the contact was coming, and he's worn one down the spine. But it's all part and parcel of learning. He will learn that he can just put his big frame in front and protect these forward.
The applause for Pavlich coming off. Jeff Farmer's going to have another go.
4 shots in the last 8 minutes,
Yeah,
Jeff.
and not many have scored. Certainly no goals as Pavlich just feeling the effects of that bruise is replaced by Des Hetman.
I reckon Jeff Farmer plays best and kicks the most goals when he gets it and runs. No matter where he is, even if he thinks he's clear, just get it and run first and get yourself clear. A few people are going to catch him, but I think it gives him enough time just to get a greater sight on the goals.
Stevie Milne-esque.
A good example.
Tarkin Lockyer's been working hard this quarter. His 6th possession for the term. O'Brien, Long, Webster with Carousella chasing him. Hazelby now, look at them flood the outer side. They do this so well. He goes to Black.
Numbers.
Running with him, Josh Carr. Johnson calls them on. Medhurst leads. McFarlane wants it long. Medhurst the target. Spoiled by Clement. Still going Josh Carr. Still going Heath Black. Hemmed in on the boundary at 45. Disciplined centering ball. And Des Hetman leaps over the top and should be able to kick his 5th goal and extend the Fremantle lead beyond 100.
And once again, right across the face of goal to the opposite side, gives the forward an opportunity to actually jump at the ball rather than standing under it.
Des Hetman, the #1 draft pick 7 years ago, kicks his 5th goal. The lead is 102 points.
If you're an opposition side, you'd really be looking at Fremantle and saying to your forward line and your on-ball brigade, this is how you bring the ball into your forward line. They've brought it in long and direct, but they've worked the angles very well.
I reckon Paul Medhurst, just having a look at the way he approached that last hard lead and mark on the lead, he should just have a close monitor of the way that Nathan Brown from Richmond does it. He jumps early, jumps to the side, still gets it.
Fremantle's previous best winning margin against Collingwood was 34 points. Might have that covered here. Magpies go forward.
Magpies have got to be challenging their worst ever loss, surely.
We'll be digging into the record books at 3/4 time as Tarrant is paid a push.
Pushing the back.
And if this rate continues, Collingwood kicks 1-2 more goals for the rest of the game, and Freo kick another 8.
There it is, Chris.
They're going to be pushing any sort of ugly record.
Chris Tarrant had 2 shots at goal at this end in the opening term and missed them both, albeit from further out. The full forward of his ilk should goal from here. He does, and the Magpies get their 6th. Not much more, need say.
He's continued to try all day, Chris Tarrant, and that's one of the very few occasions that he's had a one-on-one contest with Parker. Usually there's been a couple of other Dockers around him.
Tarrant getting the pat on the back from Brodie Holland. No joy for the Pies today. Collingwood's 2 leading ball winners today prior to this match had 1 game senior experience between them. Davies on debut with 14 touches. Yakabuchi in his 2nd game with 13. Inside of the final 2 minutes remaining in the 3rd as Bell punches the Dockers forward. The bounce good enough for Burns. Chipping it wide. Travis Cloak in a sandwich there. Kept his feet, did well. Kicks Collingwood inside 50. Tarrant knocks it down for Carosella. Hooks it on the left foot, and Collingwood have got 2 in a minute. Not quite, here they come, but they'll take it.
Well, it's all about records at the moment. No one wants to be involved. Not that it matters all that much, but I guess if you can get just something on the scoreboard, it eases the pain by a tiny little bit. It's a bit like the preference of death by 1,000 cuts or 990 cuts.
Ease the pain. You sound like the voice in Field of Dreams. $90 points, the lead. We've crossed 30 minutes, and then the last term. The folks here have been celebrating for a while. Just the question of the margin. Sandilands for Cook. Holland tackled. Walker gets the kick away to centre half forward. Mundy takes it, goes quickly.
Once again, Mundy's movement. He read that like he was all over it. He's got some real talent, that kid.
Maxwell in the defensive half for the Magpies. Mundy was the 19th pick of the 2003 draft out of the Murray Bushrangers, originally from Seymour in Victoria, and spent the year in the WAFL, a flag with Subiaco last year. Little wrestle on in the middle of the ground. Very Shaw getting involved with Smith as the ball proceeds down the outer side. Inside 50 for Collingwood. Carosella had it knocked away. Parker's about to be caught. Good pressure late in this term by the Magpies. And the result will be a bounce. And Reece Shaw gives the runner a spray. As he was told, I think, that he was coming off the ground, and he is now. And he gave the runner a mouthful, and the crowd are getting stuck into him as he comes off with just seconds remaining. Mundy's got the footy for Fremantle. Kicking to the wing, and the siren will beat them. McFarlane's got time to get the mark, and he handballs the ball back to the umpire. He won't get a stat there. He could have had a shot.
We did have a little bit of a laugh about that before the broadcast today. Jared, and you were saying that you should always have a shot there so you get the extra stat.
Did I?
Yeah, well, because Jared is still thinking about
you give me
stats. Oh, shut up.
Reece Shaw there has got plenty of other things on his mind, as has Neil Barn.
The margin is 90 points.
Shut up.
Quarter remaining at Subi. those statistically inclined, Fremantle's best ever AFL score is a matter of 4 goals away. They kicked 25-13 against Sydney in round 6 of their first ever season, 1995. That was at the Wacker. So they're just 4 goals shy of eclipsing that, and their greatest winning margin came in 97 against the Bombers. They won by 97 points in round 12 at Subiaco, so they're not too far away from that. So a couple of things to look out for as the final term gets underway, with Sandilands again getting first hand to it. Lucuria will grubber the Magpies forward. Travis Cloak pushed off it by Hadrill. Again Lucuria with the soccer. Webster backed himself, couldn't hang on to it. Carosella is caught. Seagate has been impressive this afternoon, but then again, so have so many of the men wearing purple. Matthew Carr going long. The spoil on Medhurst from Clement. Now Reece Shaw. Spoke with the coach at 3/4 time. Delivers well for Travis Cloak. A couple of the lights being switched on at Subiaco because of the shadow across the ground. Cloak bangs away up forward. Tarrant's going to try and take a pack mark. Didak at the back, needed a kind bounce, didn't get it. Grover still under pressure. Carosella, good tackle, ball held in. Collingwood with 2 contested marks for the afternoon.
Interesting this from Travis Cloak. A slip, the ball hits the deck. I suppose he's still got it in his hands. Not sure about the ruling on that one.
I guess it would have depended whether the umpire had called play on the slip.
No, she didn't.
So if it didn't, that would be okay. As Smith, he's backing himself, touches it on the ground. Now Matthew Carr made Smith wait for it, and they come a cropper.
It's probably one of those possessions where it's just too tight to even try and work your way through, and the kick from Smith initially would have been better. There wasn't too much on offer down the ground. It would have been a kick to position or to space.
Yes, we have had everything at Subi today. The lights on this brilliant Mother's Day afternoon. Mundy, Smith, Cook, Matthew Carr working in close. Oh, that's, well, it looked like being a clever kick, just a step short of Josh Carr. And here's Yakabuchi, one of the few beacons on a dark day for the Magpies, as Travis Cloak and Hadrill happy to see it over for a boundary throw-in. And Robert Hadrill happy to get through the game after injuring his ankle in the opening round against the Power.
Showed pretty good speed then, Travis Cloak, for a big guy. Hadrill's no slouch.
And tough for young players in their first year. I guess they will deal with this best because they know that from an accountability perspective, they won't be the ones drawn to account, but they will have better days, rest assured.
Heath Black keeps it low inside the 50. The passing to Des Headland has been superb today, and he can kick goal number 6.
His last 2 weeks as a forward have been pretty high quality. He's just worked in pretty well with Pavlich. And I think Heath Black is also having a pretty fair season since coming across from the Saints.
Headland now for his 6th. Missing to the near side.
Almost playing that role as the third tall. They're all mobile. Pavlich, as we know, can be a ruck rover. McFarlane's no slouch. And Headland.
That's the real strength of this Fremantle side. They're so flexible. They can throw guys forward, back, on ball.
Jason Cloak wrestled Headland out of the equation as Morrison darts away and feeds O'Brien. Wobbly ball for Lockyer. Inside the 50. Didak just trying to slap it on for Carosella, who helps it over for a throw-in. Headland a little proppy. But, yes, he will come off. It looked like he was going to try and run it out, but Michael Johnson will replace him. And this is the time to prepare for next week. If there are some injuries for Fremantle. Here's Burns. Shaw kicks hurriedly towards the pocket. Carosella in front. Seagate the spoil.
He's gone for the hamstring, Des Headland. It may just be tight, but anything in that area is a big concern.
Webster, beautiful pass for Cook. Waits for Hadrill to run into space and then gives him the footy.
Got the overlap with Carr.
And they are away. Josh Carr now with Medhurst screaming forward short. He elects to go longer. Easy one for Jason Cloak, peeling off McFarlane there to take the mark. A dark afternoon for Collingwood. Their percentage entering today 87.5, and that is heading further south, firmly entrenched on the bottom of the AFL table. Maxwell going for Clement. Now long ball towards half forward. Good use of the body by Didak against Mundy. Can he get it onto Carousella? He tried. Dockers have numbers back. Josh Carr has got Sandilands short. And the crowd really getting behind the big man. 34 hit-outs today. This will be just his second kick. But he's done his job. Target perhaps Pavlich over his head. Clement dumped by Medhurst. Morrison to Mercuria, met solidly from behind. Wakeland, Clement and Burns hook up. No one to give it to. They're in slow motion. Clement. Morrison. Good heavens. Not pretty. Clement to centre half forward, and Grover glides in front of Lockyer. Let's get downstairs. Michael Thompson, tell us about Des Headland.
Left hamstring at Clinton, and at this stage the physios feel it's just tightening of the hamstring. They've worked on it for about the last 3 minutes. He's just got up. He's now gingerly walking, but looks a little looser than he was before. I might ask him in a sec when he walks straight past me. Des, how's it feel?
Did he give you the thumbs up?
Des. Trying, but no reply from Des, understandably so, focusing on the game, but I think he's going to be all right.
In the crowd.
So tell him you'll give him votes if he answers. Pavlich, by the way, has the football, and he can think about a 6th goal.
Now, we're talking about Josh Carr having 34 possessions, and there's been a lot of talk of late Brownlow medals, and should the umpires give the votes for the Brownlow medal. Greg Williams one day having over 40 and not getting any. Be interesting to see whether Josh Carr gets any on this particular day.
He's got some competitors, including that man, Pavlich, with his 6th. Dockers get the first of the final term, and the margin is 3 points shy of 100.
I reckon it'd be tough for anybody giving votes today, whether you had possession sheets or not, because there's been about 8 players that have been unbelievably good. There's been another 8 that have been really good. So how you get it right on a day like today is beyond me. It's amazing how many people criticise the Brownlow for it being a midfield medal, and yet every other award generally goes to a midfielder as well.
Matthew Pavlich played every game last year, kicked 19 goals. He's got 16 already this season in his centre half forward role. Whereas last year, Chris Connolly moved him around, he said, to exploit the other team's weakness. If they put a small on him, they moved him forward, and vice versa. But more a key forward role for him this year. He might get another touch soon as Thornton goes to McFarlane at half forward. Can't control it. The tackle on Wakeland. Burns now for Morrison. Mercuria slips back for Morrison. Gets it away for Clement.
Nothing forward.
Going to have to bomb it to a contest. Tarrant used the body well against Parker. And just chips it around the corner. Casually, perhaps Carousella's got plenty to do. Grover about to be caught. Seagate. Mundy. Grover just one step ahead. Fremantle there, and Bell's waiting in the wings. And now they can go. Farmer wants it on the wing. And he claims the mark. Directing traffic, Jeff Farmer. The crowd today, a beauty, 36,491 off the field. The last couple of years, the Fremantle Dockers have made giant strides in this city in building their support, and that's a terrific Mother's Day attendance. No matches in Melbourne on Mother's Day this weekend because of poor crowds in recent years. Pavlich had it knocked away. Mercuria for Morrison, now for O'Brien. Collingwood scoreless in the opening 10 minutes of this final term. Holland for Tarrant. Awkward ball to pick up, and he can't. Bell gets it from Seagate. Holland put the pressure on late. Reece Shaw runs onto it, closes to 55, the goal square unguarded, and he's got it. Reece Shaw bangs it through for the Magpies' first of the final two.
Well, it was against the flow of play. Peter Bell was run down from behind. He would be disappointed with himself for not being aware. But really, it should have been shepherded. That player should not have been able to get to him. He ran past, I think it was Grover. And Reece Shaw, to his credit, he just keeps on keeping on. And Reece Shaw may be well leading their best and fairest right now.
Shaw has certainly been winning plenty of the ball this year. Was averaging 23 possessions a game coming in. Has the 8 today, and now a goal.
It hasn't been a huge day for him by way of possession, but body language and intensity have certainly had him well and truly in the top half a dozen players for Collingwood.
Mercuria feeds Burns. And at a stretch, Rowe. Kicked a couple of goals to this end in the second term. This one nearly intercepted by Bell. Parker mops up. Thornton and Bell combine. Hazelby and Seager do likewise. He's got Cook if he spies him down the centre corridor. Elects to go to a contest involving Pavlich and Wakeland. Pavlich just caresses it in front of Josh Carr. Gets to his feet. Takes off. And the kick between he and Cook. Cook, nice pickup. And gives it off to McFarlane. Gee, that was too easy.
Why we've got to stay in play, Jared. There is an award that on-ballers don't win. One that players vote on. The MVP.
That's right.
Ever won that, Wayne?
I don't want to say that, Clint, but there are some key position players that have won that one. Nick Rewalt winning it over Chris Judd last year.
McFarlane bringing it back. Oh, it's a goal on the line for the Dockers, kicked by Matthew Carr.
He's got no idea.
Yeah, what the heck, we'll give it to him anyway. Carr's got his second, and for our Fox Footy viewers, we should tell you, coming up next month, you can see all of the past winners of the AFL Players Association Most Valuable Player Award receive their Lee Matthews Trophy. It was only instituted as the Lee Matthews Trophy in the last couple of years, as you see Carr kick the goal on the line, and a special night on Fox Footy exclusively as Wayne will accept his awards. Anything else you wanted me to add, Wayne?
I led you into that beautifully.
Well, the replay showed as if there wasn't too much concern for the goal umpire. I'm not sure why the field umpire made it look as if it was that complicated, that decision. Good jump there from Tex.
That's what Tex needs to do. He needs to
do a lot more of that.
Show the Collingwood Footy Club that he can play, and he really has to step up with the injuries they've got to some of their bigger players. He has to step up.
He'll contest here with Johnson. Gets it for Lucuria.
There is something magical, Clinton, about the 100-point loss.
Yeah.
Magical for the winners and devastatingly ugly for the losers. And it's something that well, even on this ground, I think it was Ron Barassi in the very first State of Origin match when he came here, led Victoria to a horrible belting by Western Australia. The message at three-quarter time and halfway through the last quarter was just don't lose by over 100.
And it's something the Dockers have never won by in club history. So it would be a first for them this afternoon, if they can achieve it. They're just short now. They did edge it beyond 100 on Headland's 5th goal in time on in the 3rd term before Collingwood got a couple late. Carousella for Didak on the run from 50. He's a good user of the football, and that's a terrific goal from Alan Didak. And that might stave off thoughts of a 100-point defeat for a concerned Collingwood coaching staff.
Had an interrupted pre-season, Didak. He's only been back in the side for a couple of weeks, but has shown a little bit today under difficult circumstances.
Well, they've had Rocker and Buckley obviously out. Fraser and Didak probably in their top 8 players. 6 players interrupted preps.
Margin 91 points. And Walker going very early. Johnson for Hazelby for Bell. His 23rd possession. Medhurst now. Whoa, there you go, Jerry. Hands it off to Cook. Inside the 50, Johnson one grab. Jason Cloak the clearance. Here's Webster from 55. Going to the goal square. Farmer, oh, Pavlich, my goodness gracious me.
It's just basically schoolboy into him now. He can take the biggest begging.
Thanks, Richard. Tough.
And the crowd are booing the decision. Wakeland kicks it the required 15 for Morrison in the back pocket. It has been a Mother's Day meltdown for the Magpies on this warm Sunday afternoon in Perth. Jason Cloak, defensive goal square, about to get the hurry up. Stabs it wide. This is Cole.
Running the clock down, Collingwood.
Here are the player rankings. No surprise, the Dockers leading the way. Currently, Pavlich from Seagate and Headland statistically best on ground, taking into account various statistical categories. When things are glum, there's worse to come. Out of bounds on the full. And Mundy will take the free.
Mark's here. Come round, Barra, thanks. Mark's here.
Wes Connolly conducting the orchestra from on high.
Yours.
Mundy goes short. Pavlich recovers. Look away. Handball for Medhurst. Likes a goal, does Paul. This one drifts across the face for a behind. They are now 9 points adrift of equaling their highest ever score. Yakabuchi and Davies are saying this AFL footy stuff, not all that much fun. And our coach, well, he's going to yell at us as a group perhaps, but not individually because they've both looked okay. Curia towards Walker with Johnson to try and spoil. Can't.
Bingo, Mark, that's a mark. Thank you. Hold there.
It doesn't get any easier for Collingwood next week, coming up against the almighty Tigers.
The almighty. Who would have thought we'd be saying that as Bell marks on the win?
The Tiger Tools, given the staff it looks like he's going to play, you just look around and you think already that there's major issues.
Grover towards the goal square. Medhurst waiting down, looks at his second and drills through another one. This Fremantle party rolls on.
Wayne?
Well, he's given a few handballs out today.
That was fair enough.
But the Wizard was on there.
Yeah, he was on.
I'm sure they've got an understanding.
Medhurst was saying, would Jeffrey be passing to me right now? And I thought, no.
He was cruising there.
So 2 to Medhurst.
I'm on the Medhurst wagon at the moment.
I can tell.
He's jumped on.
And he's skipping down the hill with him. The Dockers a goal away from their highest ever AFL score. If it would end now, it would be their greatest ever AFL victory. Can they close it out? Black for Matthew Carr. One more goal for the record. Smith for Johnson. They might get it too. Black for Carr. Pops it inside 50. McFarlane's going to fly. Morrison caught. Farmer. This for Fremantle's all-time highest score. The Wizard kicks it. The celebrations are complete.
Not sure whether you could see it at home or not, but it was quite amusing when Jeff Farmer got the ball then and took off. The umpire in yellow was sprinting to the left of him, just as quick. I wonder why you actually do that when you can actually watch the Wiz just run in and kick the goal.
He was just following it with the fly, was he? It's a mongrel kick from Jeffrey. Didn't matter.
After 2 behinds and 2 out of bounds, Jeff's got a goal.
104 points, Clinton.
So, on track for their first ever 100-point win in the AFL. It's already secured their highest ever score. The crowd are chanting. It's like the Colosseum in Rome, and they're giving the thumbs down to the visitors. They're saying, bring on more. Pavlich, stiff arms, Maxwell. Gee, that would have been close to the pick of the bunch.
Well, don't argue.
Yeah. An air of authority when it happens.
Come on!
That gentleman has been a loyal Dockers fan for many, many years.
The Mexican wave is circling Subiaco now, and everyone is getting involved.
You ready, Jared?
And one cue.
Now, boys. Bell sees it over.
So what you're saying is all those years you were out there and we were all applauding your great deeds, you actually just wanted to be in the crowd as part of the Mexican wave. And that was your first chance.
Exactly right.
Things that turn you on.
Morrison for Holland. Now Shaw. Josh Carr.
Meanwhile,
settle down, you two.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Here's Black in the middle. Wide to the outer wing, Seagate. Coming up on 5 minutes, still to go. On the hard lead, Medhurst.
Kick.
He's kicked 2 goals, 1. He loads this one up and hooks it for a behind. A powerful legs, Wayne.
I didn't want to dwell on that.
Well,
Jared has not got his eyes off his legs all day.
He's got huge legs.
Legs 11.
Good news is we're staying on after the game for our digital subscribers for more. You'll hear the press conferences of the respective coaches and the full wrap from Subiaco. Mick Mulhouse's press conference might be enlightening. Maxwell in the back pocket, although Dennis Pagan's in the loss to the Tigers this weekend was timed at, what, 2 minutes 52.
This was a quick one.
Holland to Shaw. Got it out okay. Maxwell for Jason Cloak. Goes short, Burns. Marks at half-back. Collingwood's leading ball winners now. Morrison with 23 touches, Lucuria 21, Clement with 17. Wakeland goes to half-forward. Over the head of Johnson and Cloak. Carosella, can he get it inside the line? He can. Handballs to space. Matthew Carr used his body to hold off Yakabuchi and forces the throw-in.
One of the worst things about losing here in Perth is the long flight home.
Yeah, I guess it's the plus of travelling and the very much the negative. If you win, it's a fantastic experience on the way home. But when you lose, you just have to endure what is a hell of a weekend.
The Fremantle chant resonating, reverberating around this arena as Josh Carr works to space on the outer wing. They've got an open forward line. Medhurst against Clement. Too far out to score. Pavlich going to the pocket. Jason Cloak getting in the way.
Number 37 for Josh Carr.
Been a big day for Josh.
As I said earlier, the votes will be difficult for the Dockers for their club champion award.
Who would you give the votes to? One? Freo.
I think you'd probably go Pavlich, Carr, Black. Bell unlucky.
Thornton with the football. Plenty unlucky. It's become just a celebration this final quarter for the supporters here. Smith with now 34 players in Fremantle's attacking half of the ground, and Bell about to be crunched by Morrison, who was in the marking contact. There'll be no 50.
What would distinguish Pavlich's and Carr's game?
I think when you're winning so much of the ball through the midfield, it's easy to get a lot of ball like we see Black getting there. As a forward, that is a little more difficult. And obviously kicking a few goals does help. Plus, I'm very biased towards forwards, Jerry.
Now we're getting to it. We'll have a look at this pass. Heath Black's been a great pickup. The midfield, and don't forget they've got Jared Schofield to come back into this side. A bloke who played in the Premiership last year, has had an injury early in the season. But the options through the middle now are pretty plentiful here at the Dockers.
And reflective of that, a guy like Shammer's an emergency and can't break into this team.
Yeah, he struggled for form a little bit this season, and he's had to go back to the waffle and work his way back in.
Don't forget Troy Pollard.
Medhurst for his third.
And his brother Graham.
I wasn't going to raise
say Troy. Sorry, Graham.
27 goals today for the Dockers. This record score, record-winning margin rolls on. Medhurst has kicked his third.
I was looking straight at Troy Cook when I said that.
Yeah, well, that's another big kick from Troy Medhurst.
And he's saying, I'm so excited, Jared was here to see it.
Been a long day.
Sounding like a Perth Glory crowd now.
Sounding like a crowd that chanted a lot 2 years ago when the Dockers emerged as a finals team for the first time. And after an unbelievably poor start to the season, in that they had a couple of horror losses. In particular, the one I think in Tassie hurt them the most against the Saints when they fell apart. They have recovered, and they're going to be tough to beat right throughout this season.
Clement caught by Farmer, goes for the improbable goal and kicks it out of bounds on the full. And they're only going to get more confidence and generate more harmony in the team out of something like this, you would imagine, and last week's win against Melbourne. And you just think Essendon at the Dome next week, Bombers coming off another loss. People still question the Dockers in Melbourne. I know they beat the Demons, but it'd be another great chance to really say that they've arrived and improved to 5-3. Tarrant at half forward with a minute to go. Has kicked one today. Has hooked this kick. It's come back enough. And he's got his second.
It's been a tough day for Tarrant, but he's continued to lead, continued to get to contests. But, the ball just hasn't got up there often enough.
No, and it hasn't got there because their midfield have been belted, and the supply has been average, to say the least. But in the team game, everyone suffers, and everyone will suffer on that play on the way home, and everyone will suffer through the week because the microscope will be intense in Melbourne.
Aaron, Tristan.
You can almost hear the typewriters at work for the headline writers in the presses tomorrow. They will be fairly savage on the Magpies, despite the injuries that they've been carrying early on. Josh Carr breaks away, 60 metres out, long to the goal square. McFarlane had his name written all over it. And he's going to kick 5 goals in back-to-back weeks, after kicking just 4 goals for all of last year.
Just good work from Fremantle, from a pretty good clearance, direct to the square, and a big tall who lost his opponent. Inexperienced, no, not inexperienced now, but he lost his opponent and got away pretty easily.
This, today's icing. McFarlane has kicked 5. Headland has kicked 5. Pavlich has kicked 6. Medhurst has kicked 3. And 36,491 are loving their football club right now. And the scoreline, which will be inscribed in Docker history until they next get to this lofty heights. 28 goals, 12, 180.
Well, we just saw it from go to woe there. Great tap from Aaron Sandilands, whipped it back. And that's what I think this restricted circle has brought to the game. It's brought the art of ruck work well and truly back to the fore, and the combination of ruckman and rover, I think, is really alive now, whereas last year it was more deadpan secondary bounce stuff.
The crowd roar you heard when they saw Mick Malthouse deflated on the screen. The siren sounds on Fremantle's greatest ever victory. It's their highest ever score in the AFL. And if there were any doubts as to whether or not they were back after last week's victory over Melbourne, those doubts have surely been erased on this grand Mother's Day for the Fremantle Football Club. 28-12, 180 to Collingwood, 10-8, 68.
Well, for Collingwood, it's just the start of a horror 7 days coming up, or 6 days, depending on when they play their next round. But there is going to be a major microscopic look at that particular team. But let's go down to the ground. Here's Tomo with one of the stars of the game.
Thanks, Jared. Matthew Pavlich, a record-breaking day. That's the highest ever score, biggest winning margin, first 100-point margin. What are you going to say?
Oh, it's good news, isn't it? I guess, Tomo, you're the one with all the stats, mate. But it's great to come back here after last week. You know, we played a very good game against Melbourne, but to build the momentum's more important than anything.
What was so successful? Why were you so successful today? The forward line seemed to open. The guys wanted to try things. Everyone seemed to be on song.
Yeah, look, I think just the intensity throughout the whole week of training, probably the last 3 weeks after, probably 3 weeks ago when we didn't put in a good performance. The intensity of the group's really good, and look, it's just fantastic that we get away with a big win.
Pav, congratulations. Wayne Carey says you're the new favourite for the Brownlow medal, and it's been an amazing day of football. We're going to take a break now, back with a full wrap-up from Subiaco Oval.